Smugglers are now changing how they try to enter the United States. Because the southern land border has become much harder to cross, many smugglers are now using the seas. Boats, jet skis, and other watercraft are being used more often to carry drugs, weapons, and even people. So is there anything that the US forces are doing about this? Well, let's find out in today's special episode. In just one recent year, US forces had to stop smuggling boats in at least 350 different cases. In many of these cases, the smugglers refuse to stop even when told to. Officers first try to communicate with the vessel. If that doesn't work, they fire warning shots. If the smugglers still don't stop, the officers are forced to shoot out the boat's engine. Out of the 350 engine disabling incidents, not one person was hurt. That's a sign of careful training and good planning, even in risky situations. These sea operations are not easy. The ocean is large, and it can be hard to see or track fast-moving boats. Smugglers often try to use this to their advantage, and some of them have done this many times before. They're not new to crime. In fact, the smuggling business is worth around $13 billion every year. Many of the people driving the boats have past records with US law enforcement. They know how to escape, and they're not afraid to take big risks. To deal with this problem, the US has brought in new technology. Drones are now being used to watch the sea. One model, called the XP4, can fly long distances and carry supplies. It can even bring rescue gear like life rafts. These drones are useful because they don't need a pilot, which keeps people safe and saves money. The XP4 can also help in emergencies, like when a boat is sinking. And because it can stay in the air for a long time, it acts as a warning to smugglers. They know someone is always watching. The Navy is also playing a big role. Large ships are now watching these southern waters. These ships cost a lot of money to maintain, and they require a lot of manpower. But they're needed. Without them, smugglers would be able to reach the shore much more easily. And some experts say this effort to protect the border is not just about security, it's also about economics. Stopping smuggling helps the US save money in the long run by reducing crime and drug use. One challenge is that these criminals often hide in places the US military cannot enter, like inside Mexico. Many believe the cartels have strong ties inside the Mexican government. Some even think parts of Mexico are now controlled more by cartels than by police or officials. This makes it hard for the US to stop them completely, and if a cartel leader can just stay inside Mexico, the US has fewer options to catch them. And Mexico has refused the idea of US troops operating on their land, and because of this, smugglers often launch their boats from Mexican waters where the US cannot go. They then speed across the border by sea, trying to avoid Coast Guard and Navy patrols. Some boats go so fast that it turns into a high-speed chase like the ones we see on American highways. In one case, agents had to shoot out an underwater engine while chasing a small boat. To stay ahead, the US is increasing its efforts. Border Patrol and Coast Guard are hiring more people. They're also training them for sea operations. It's not just about guarding the land anymore. Smugglers are smart. If one method gets shut down, they try another. That's why the US must stay flexible and ready for anything. While drones, helicopters, and Navy ships might seem like too much, they are necessary. These are not just small-time criminals. Some of them are part of powerful groups that traffic drugs, weapons, and even people. They will do anything to escape, including using violence. That's why US forces have to act fast and with the right tools. So far, they've done a good job. 350 dangerous boat chases, and not one person hurt. One of the most serious concerns is how cartels manage to stay ahead of any efforts to stop them. It doesn't matter who is in charge in Mexico, the cartels always find someone in the government or the military who is willing to help them for money or out of fear. Reports and interviews with US Border Patrol agents show that there is little trust in Mexico's efforts to stop these criminals. On the surface, Mexico says it's doing its best, but off-camera, agents often say Mexico is part of the problem. In fact, documents show that migrants are given papers by Mexican authorities that are clearly marked as transit documents. These documents allow the migrants to pass through Mexico and reach the US border more quickly. So is the government actually helping the cartels by making it easier for people to reach the border? Many experts believe so. Even though Mexico has placed around 10,000 National Guard troops along its northern border, it doesn't seem to be stopping the cartels. These troops might arrest some low-level criminals, but the leaders of these operations are still out there and untouched. Many think these troop deployments are just for show to make it look like something is being done, but in reality, the big players are still in charge. There is also a religious element involved. Some cartels use shrines and religious symbols near the border. For example, there are small boxes filled with objects and religious items placed right next to the border fence. These are used for ceremonies and rituals by the cartel members. They believe these objects give them protection as they cross into the US, and this shows how organized they are and how close to the border they operate. The fact that these items are left untouched tells us that no one dares to interfere, not even Mexican authorities. Another shocking fact is how many stash houses are found near border cities like Juarez. In 2024 alone, agents found more than 270 stash houses in just that one city. These houses are used to hide drugs, people, and weapons. The cartels control these areas fully. Anyone moving through these zones is either working for the cartel or has permission from them. No one moves freely in those regions otherwise. This kind of full control by criminal groups shows the failure of both local and federal Mexican authorities. Now, there are suggestions from some US officials that American troops should be allowed to enter Mexico to help take down the cartels. These officials believe that if the US military was allowed to operate in Mexico, the cartels could be defeated quickly. But Mexico's president has strongly rejected that idea. She has said the US is welcome to share information and help in other ways, but no foreign troops will be allowed on Mexican soil. From her point of view, that would look like a failure of Mexican sovereignty. While the land border continues to be a focus of attention, something else is changing. Because US authorities are cracking down hard on land crossings, many smugglers are now turning to the sea. Boats are being used more often to bring drugs and people across the ocean. There is a massive amount of coastline to monitor, and without Mexico's full help, it is nearly impossible to watch every inch of it. This creates a new challenge for US security forces like the Coast Guard, who now must work harder to stop these sea-based operations. And even though the US has made a lot of progress in tightening land borders, this pressure is what's pushing criminals to try new routes. As always, don't hesitate to comment down your thoughts in these situations, and for more upcoming videos, make sure to hit that subscribe button as well.